broadcasting from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome to The Gaily Show, the only daily LGBTQ radio news and talk show in the United States. I am your host, John Parker, in studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hey, y'all.
And no matter where you live, from P-Town to Alabama to Montana to Seattle, we've got you here on The Gaily Show. All right, we're also streaming on our YouTube channel right now, so if you like what we're doing, particularly our Culture and Entertainment Fridays, please subscribe, click that like button, leave us a comment about things that you would like to see us cover on The Gaily Show. All right, speaking of entertainment, the final film in the Queer Gaze, that's Gaze, film series for 2025 is this upcoming Sunday, December 14th at 2 p.m. Queer Gaze is a film series that is put on by the organizers of the Flip the Script Film Festival, which is the only LGBTQ film festival in the state of Minnesota, according to my understanding. This Sunday, for the final film, they are screening Saving Face. It is a 2004 rom-com about a Chinese-American surgeon who has been keeping her lesbian identity hidden from her widowed mother, but then she comes home to find her mother at her door because she's been banished when it was discovered she's pregnant out of wedlock. Both are reluctant to go public with their secret loves that clash against cultural expectations, but will they be able to keep their secrets while they're living together? It will be at the Imagine Willow Creek Theater this Sunday, December 14th at 2 p.m. Go to flipthescriptfest.org for ticket information and to watch the trailer. That's flipthescriptfest.org. All right, it is Friday. We end our weeks talking about culture and entertainment because queer folks are one of the most censored groups in the country today. So we want to lift up their work for you to read and watch and go to. So what is on the show today? In the second half hour, we have a special guest. Mr. Twin Cities Leather 2026, Denzel Berlin, will be here. But up first, Go Dog Go, Ve Pero Ve, is coming to Children's Theater Company this January. It is a bilingual musical, and joining us now is the sound designer for the production, Jaime Salvador Lupercio. In addition to being a sound designer, Jaime is a composer and theater artist who has worked throughout the country. Jaime, welcome to The Gaily Show.
Thank you so much. I feel very welcomed.
Okay, good. I'm glad. First-time guest. All right, so this is a bilingual musical. You are a sound designer. How did you go about designing the sound for this very unique musical?
Yeah, well, Ve Pero Ve is, or Go Dog Go, Ve Pero Ve, has had a sort of life around the U.S. already, kind of going through Seattle, Chicago, a few other places. And every time it happens, the, design evolves. And this is my first time taking a crack at it. So, I've been chatting with the director of the show, Juliet, to just sort of talk about what are some of the things that we want to keep from other portions of the show, and also Victor Supank, the music director, cannot forget to mention him. And what are some of the things from other versions of the show that they may have done that they want to keep, and then what are some of the things that we want to bring in. And for me, being a Hispanic artist, I really wanted to see what parts of my culture I could bring into this. And so, what are certain things that would be fun to incorporate into the show. And one of the things that I just have not seen authentically done anywhere whenever I've seen a Hispanic show are the little gritos and little vocal fricatives that we do just in celebration whenever things are happening. Whenever you see a mariachi something. So the and so bringing talking with Juliet and going hey, let's incorporate some of this into the show, and doing things like that, because one, it's so much fun. It's so much fun to do. Right. But two, it adds a level of authenticity that actually belongs there, that is not like I call it like a cultural tchotchkefying sort of thing.
Yes.
But is like something that is like truly authentic to, the Hispanic experience.
That's great.
I love that.
I do too.
I love that. We should mention to folks. Do you want to tell us what the show is about? I just jumped right into the sound design of it. So, just Go Dog Go, but
no. Go Dog Go is a stage adaptation of the P.D. Eastman a storybook for kids.
Oh yeah.
But it breaks the mold very early with like turning this dog is going on a car and kind of like just joining in on the journey of like each of the dogs as we see them, and watching them perform and do things on stage in a just really like cool, imaginative way. The script itself really only calls for an accordion and an accordion player to be the orchestra for the show.
Oh, wow.
But Victor, the music director, Victor Supank, is like expanding on that. And like, we've been talking about like some of the other things that we like want to bring into the show, like a cajon, percussion instruments, stuff like that. And we're just about to go into rehearsal, I think, this week. So like a lot of that's we're kind of like bringing in the like energy of like mariachi and other things in there, and just sort of like making discoveries in the room, and just sort of like what are some of the things that we want to play with when we like enter into rehearsal. So like, it could evolve from like, very, very like Spanish guitar stuff to like percussion to things that are just being played on stage. So we'll see how like that goes on.
That's very cool.
We are talking with the sound designer of the upcoming children's theater production of Go Dog Go, Ve Pero Ve, Jaime Salvador Lupeciro. Jaime, I love that they're calling this I should mention, running January 20th through February 22nd, but you can buy your tickets now. I love how they call this a pop-up book. Can you tell folks, though, who are like, wait a minute, they may be familiar with the sound designer and film and television. Talk to us about the elements that you use to create sound design for a theatrical production.
Oh, that's that is such a question. Well, for shows like this, for shows like this that are like musical, what I try and do is I try and make the show clear and easy to listen to, so that way as an audience we're able to sort of like understand everything that's going on. But then also kind of like taking on the role as like a little bit of a record producer, where it's like, oh, it'd be cool is like if we like brought on things like this, or like tried to use this sort of microphone instead, or this kind of effect, this kind of condenser. So like instead of just being like this is just like a flat, easy to listen to show, then adding a little bit of that, for lack of a better word, stank on it, where it's like sometimes you may want to go for more of like a Billy Joel Armstrong hyper condensed microphone moment, or like something with like a little bit more of like a Beastie Boys slapback, or like a Frank Sinatra super clean vocal line, and other things like that. So like experimenting with like what helps best tell the story at that particular moment. Then for my other work as a sound designer, I'm also a composer for like straight plays and things like that. So something that like I try and teach my students is like what best tell the story at like that particular moment. So communicating emotion and feeling through music or sounds or anything like that. Like one of the best examples that I have is I was very close with my uncle, and I cannot listen to How I Wish You Were Here without like just like crying. So whenever like I try to like recreate moments like that on stage, where it's like the audience doesn't necessarily need to like understand the music or anything like that, but it just like makes them feel something, and they're instantly going, oh, this is I'm supposed to feel sad, or I'm supposed to feel triumphant, I'm supposed to feel like
Right.
joy at these things. One of my like oddly like most successful moments as a designer was when I was doing Pride and Prejudice over at University of Minnesota when I was getting my master's. And it was like the moment that Mr. Darcy and Lizzie Bennet were like, they had just met at the ball, and they were turned towards each other, and then they turn away, they walk away, and then we go into a scene change. I had their first dance be to a like orchestra version of Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls. So that way the audience could be like, oh, it's supposed to be like this. And then at the end of the scene, when we did that, I had like the actual guitar riff for Iris playing. And then right as we go into the scene change, and I don't want the words.
Yes.
And then go into that. And then like the audience honestly laughed at it more often than not. But it was just like one of those things of like, yes, this is kind of what it's supposed to do, is like bring that like moment of like joy and idea of like young love to, you know, a story.
Right.
So like things like that.
Right.
Oh my God, I was obsessed with that song when I was in high school.
Same.
We are going to be coming up on a break here, and I'm not going to do what I always do, which is ask a huge question. But I want to share with folks about Go Dog Go, Ve Pero Ve. When we come back from the break, I'm going to ask about how the bilingual aspects of the musical are, you know, like I want to ask about that. So folks are like, well, what do you mean when you say a bilingual musical? So we're going to talk about that with Jaime when we come back after this break. You can go to childrenstheater.org where you can find your ticket information. You can find all of the cast and crew who will be in the production or are producing the production. And you can also, there's already some reviews from past productions that you can read about in as well. There's a video getting ready to promote it. I mean, Children's Theater always does such a great job on their promotions on their website. But we're going to take that break right now. If you like what we're doing here in Culture and Entertainment, you can go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@the-Gailey-Show for all of our culture and entertainment episodes. We have them all archived there just for you. You are listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPTA 20, Chicago's progressive talk where facts matter. More after this break. Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I am John Parker. We're coming up rather on the bottom of the hour. I'm in studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds. Our guest is Jaime Salvador Lupeciro, who is the sound designer, composer, and theater artist, and the sound designer of the upcoming production of Go Dog Go, Ve Pero Ve, at Children's Theater Company in Minneapolis, which is a bilingual musical. And so I want to ask you, Jaime, when people hear like bilingual musical, how does that work? Tell us how that works for Go Dog Go.
Yeah, so the show does, I think, like a really good job of like, you know, using words respectfully. It doesn't treat like, you know, the Spanish language is like sort of like a hat, which you know sometimes you see with a lot of bilingual like children's shows, where it's like, you know, kind of like dorifying the language, where it's like, this is my mochila, can you say mochila? Backpack. I think it like really walks like a good balance of like, you know, it does have some moments of like, you know, it says the word and then it says the thing that it explains, but then, you know, as like we go on through the show, it does take those moments to, you know, express the action through the language, but also showing the action, so it gives the audience that like understanding of, oh, this is what's happening. So even if you may not be able to like translate it or have the like words in your head in there, you could at least understand what's going on stage. And it kind of like, you know, it does the thing that I believe that good children's theater should do, which is like, asking the audience to like, hey, you're gonna have to reach a little bit. We'll help you out, but we'll do a little bit of trying.
Yeah.
Well, kids' brains are so adept to picking up linguistic skills that I'm sure they're going to have all of it by the end of the
Absolutely.
show. I'm a dual citizen of France and the U.S., so I totally understand the use of the appropriation, the usage of another language. I mean, poor Dora. But anyway,
I don't mean to roast Dora too much. I'm just.
Well, I'm
a little bit.
Does a sound designer? I mean, I think of the Children's Theater Company as being large by children's theater standards. I don't know if that's true. That's just my impression. So, does the size of a space ever influence what the sound designer does, or does the sound designer say, "I want this," and you technical folks figure out how to make that so?
Little bit of column A, little bit of column B. I got my start in theater at like a really small children's theater company in El Paso, Texas. And I always found myself like going, I want to make shows that are big and huge on like our half a shoestring budget and a dream. So needing to finding myself needing to go like, how do I make this big, huge, and epic with like the limited resources that we have,
right?
But then that makes it so that way when I do go to a place like Children's Theater Company, I'm able to, I guess, better leverage some of those resources of like, oh, we've got this, so we can just actually do this. Right. And it just makes it so it's kind of like, I always say like resistance training, where it's like you run a marathon with like a 20-pound vest on. You're like, oh, right, I can do this. But then you take the 20-pound vest off and you're like, oh my God, I'm so much faster. So it feels like that. And I always try to remember my roots. And, when I can, I do try and like, do other shows that still like ask me to do some of those skills. Like I recently did a show with Rough Magic Production Company. Their cursed play of Macbeth, which still suffered some problems on this last go around, but we're still hoping to do more. Yeah. But it's like still going back to things like that. Where I'm able to like give back to the community, and also like work with really cool companies like that, but also like remember those things that like brought me here to begin with. And once again, because I am a professor, like tell that to my students, like, hey, I'm going over to Children's Theater Company to do this, but I also ran this other show not 2 months ago off of like an aux cable and some car radios. So
Well, I love that. I mean, I feel like children's theater, and again, this is an outsider perspective, that your imagination is the limit of what you can do pretty much. I know there's an eventual budget and somebody to say no, but I feel like you can pretty well engage all of your artistic possibilities in that environment, it seems like.
Oh, absolutely.
Very nearly.
Absolutely. And like that's one of the reasons why I'll never like completely like get rid of children's theater, because like I love TYAs. I love TYAs with all my heart, because they always like have that like joy and imagination that you could just go like, yes, this girl met a dragon that is a coward, and they're going to go meet their friend the monkey to go reclaim the peaches from the moon. Right. Actual show I worked on.
Right.
Mountain Meets the Moon, another children's book adaptation. It was so much fun. It was so good. And like they don't stop to ask the like questions that like mature theater does for us, and they're just like, no, we're just going to do something fun. We're going to do something because of the joy of storytelling. Right. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other. Right. I teach theater to my students. I have my students read Oedipus, and I'm like, hey, what is the thing of this? Right. You need both in your life to be like a well-rounded, happy artist. Right. And like that's kind of how I like try and like keep my career where I'm like, okay, I'm going to do like this show that's really, really fun. And then I'm going to do this show that's going to be mildly serious. And then I'm going to do this and just go forward that
Well,
way.
I mean, talk about fanciful plots, Oedipus.
Mhm.
But,
Yes.
well, this has been such a delight. I've got like 90 seconds left, and I wanted to ask you, because it's the holidays, what is a piece of theater, music, television, film that brings you queer joy this time of year?
Oh, gosh.
It's an
Thing that
impossible
brings
question.
me
You've got, like, 20
queer
seconds.
joy. Yeah. Let's see. I know this is weird and cheesy, but my mom and I love Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh, yes.
I love that movie so much because it is Michael
Best Christmas
Caine,
Carol of all of them.
best Christmas Carol ever made, and it is Michael Caine bringing all of his serious Shakespeare acting to the world of Jim Henson's Muppets, and it
Yes.
is mwah,
Yes,
beautiful.
it is. All
That's
right.
great.
Thank you for that, Jaime. To get your tickets to Go Dog Go Ve Pero Ve, head to childrenstheater.org. To hear Jaime's compositions and learn more about his work, you can go to his website, jlpsounds.com. Also on LinkedIn and Facebook, just search for Jaime Salvador Lupecero. Jaime, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
More on The Gailey Show when we come back. Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPTA 20, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. It is 33 minutes after the hour. I am John Parker. Jim Pounds, my executive producer, is here with me in the studio. Also streaming on our YouTube channel right now. If you like what we're doing, subscribe, click that like button, leave us a comment. Denzel Beelan is a Black bisexual Minneapolis-based host, writer, director, actor, producer, and improviser. Beelan is a long-standing cast member and writer at Brave New Workshop. Denzel has a passion for new work development and directed 2 world premieres in 2025. He has generated work as a writer for Mixed Precipitation, Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus, Fearless Comedy, and more. Denzel serves on the boards for Walking Shadow Theater Company and Queer Gaze. Denzel recently won the title of Mr. Twin Cities Leather 2026 and will compete in the International Mr. Leather competition Memorial Day weekend of 2026. Denzel, welcome to The Gailey Show.
So happy to be here, John. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, I want to hear more about the contest because it just happened. So tell us, Mr. Leather Twin Cities, how did the competition go?
It was a really wonderful competition. So that happened over the November 7th through 9th weekend. And it was hosted at the Saloon, produced by the folks at Twin Cities Leather. So not only did they get to use the name as their branding, but it's also very representative. They're in the Twin Cities. They do leather. Most of the sort of competition parts happened on that Saturday, and it composed of a lot of competition elements such as closed door interview, speech, talent, a little bit of a looks category as well. And what was super exciting about this weekend was it was actually the first time that they did a duo competition. So there was folks competing for Mr. Twin Cities Leather, and then there was a genderless Twin Cities fetish category that sort of encapsulated a whole bunch of other things within our kink and our scenes. So I have Sash sibling this year, which is super exciting, who serves as Twin Cities Fetish, and I was Sashed Mr. Twin Cities Leather 2026.
Wow.
So what was your talent?
My talent was stand-up. I decided I've watched so much RuPaul's Drag Race, and I was like, now's not the time to reinvent the wheel. We are going to do what we know. As you said, my background is in comedy. I do stand-up from time to time. I also produced a stand-up show for roughly 2 years. So I was like, let's go into that strong It was honestly a really wonderful crowd. And I went with some tried and true jokes, also some specific jokes for the event as well. And it was
Oh, yeah.
a real gangbuster sort of evening.
And so for our audience, it's like, well, what are the looks? Tell us a little bit about the looks that you had for the competition.
Absolutely. I fell into leather through my love of fashion, and then I learned about the community of it and everything. So throughout the weekend, I was really dead set on presenting sort of 3 looks. There was sort of a Friday night pre-contest event that had raffles. We were raising money for things, and I had, because I was like, we were selling raffle tickets, so I did a little bar vest with a nice open chest moment and these chaps with a leather jock strap, which was, sex sells, but also just really celebrating my body and my understanding of who I am and the love I have for it. Throughout the day, including interview for that Saturday, I sort of did dress for the job you want, sort of business interview chic, in my opinion, meets leather. So I had this wonderful leather kilt, my club vest on, a white button down, this really awesome leather tie that doubles as a slapper, and my handy dandy combat boots. And then for competition night, I sort of did like classic sort of leather pants, leather button down, giving a nod to formals. And I believe throughout all of that, I had these fingerless leather gloves that are one of my nearest and dearest possessions that I ended up picking up once in Chicago, and might have been my first actual like leather piece that I bought. And so they tend to stay with me throughout everything I do.
So just to emphasize this goes on for more than a day. I mean, you have to be on and dressed and whatever, right? For kind of
They make
hours.
you earn that sash.
It feels like, yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely, especially that Saturday was a long day. That Friday was very much like meet the folks involved in the weekend, maybe, bump elbows with the judges and be like, here's who I am. It's lovely to meet you. Can't wait to see you in interview the next day. But really that Saturday, I got to the saloon very early for a night performer. So that was either like
Before
around
noon.
finish.
Right.
And I didn't leave the saloon till midnight. And that wasn't all full competition. After interviews were done, there was a lot of education moments that were happening and some socials that were also happening as well. So it was a really encompassing weekend that was jam-packed full of things. And I participated as much as I could, and I crashed on a couch for at least a hot 90 minutes.
Yeah.
May I ask, I mean, is it top secret? Like, what questions do they ask in an interview? Are you allowed to say that?
Yeah. I mean, we got a lot of questions that was involved with like, what led you into the leather community, and just sort of our thoughts about where the leather community is and going. They were very dead set that they weren't going to do sort of trivia, which some leather contests have. And I think it does sort of test like your history and your understanding of that. But they were like, we really want to hear from you. My final question, which was one of my favorite questions, was to take one of my sexual passions, if you will, and sell it to the judges as if I were like an infomercial sort of idea. And because I give comedy for so much, knowing I was going to give comedy, I sort of went more of a after hours sort of low talk, and a little bit of a seduction moment for that, just to show the full range of who I am as a person.
Well, yeah.
You can imagine our audiences in Minneapolis have their hands on the dial because they don't know what's going to happen. And the people in Chicago at 10 o'clock at night are like, bring it on.
Yeah, this is
Well, those people who are in Chicago know that I'll be there Memorial Day weekend, so I can give you the full rundown
there you go.
about what I shared with them.
Oh, it's in Chicago. Oh, well, we'll have to definitely touch base before the competition. We are speaking with Denzel Berlin, who is the Mr. Twin Cities Leather 2026 champion, and writer and director, stand-up comedian as well. And I'm curious then, what are the duties of Mr. Twin Cities Leather in the year 2026?
Yeah, so my baseline duties are to compete at International Mr. Leather and to host at least 2 events. So sort of one that is myself and one that is co-produced with the Twin Cities Fetish winner as well. And that easy we can do, but I wanted to make sure that I was really throwing myself within our Twin Cities, particular Twin Cities queer communities as well, and sort of being a strong representation of the wonderful community work that our leather community does constantly, but people may not always be aware of. So just this past weekend, I spoke at the Red Undies Run and helped volunteer with setup there with a liveness project. I am having conversations with Claire Housing about how I can best serve them, and just working as well with local leather and fetish groups to sort of be like, I have a certain skill set of organizing and speaking and hosting. How can I give back to my community as well? And I want to travel and represent the wonderful eclecticness and intrigue of the Twin Cities. So I'll be going to Mid-Atlantic Leather Weekend and the International Miss Leather and Bootblack competition that'll be happening in April.
Love it. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Well, congratulations on your win, and looking forward to hearing back. And obviously, good luck in the International Mr. Leather competition. You are a stand-up comedian, and I am curious. Stand-up comedy is kind of fraught as of late. Kind of, some stuff happening there. Tell us about your experience and how you go about doing your comedy in the times that we're having to be living in.
Yeah, so when I do get the chance to do stand-up comedy, it's all infused with just sort of my overall experiences as sort of like a theater kid that found his lane in comedy. So I primarily write and perform at the Brave New Workshop Comedy Theater, which is sketch comedy. So we're thinking your Second City, we're thinking your SNL, but of course, it's the Twin Cities. We have it best here. And when I do my stand-up, there is a level of performativeness, right? There is a level of just, I am very conscious of my stage presence when it comes to that. And with the Brave New Workshop and its heavy emphasis on satirical comedy, my stand-up has bite to it, right? I might catch you off guard and be like, oh no, are you talking about me? And I'll be like, maybe I might actually be talking about you. But in a way that is to, when we laugh about things, we're able to sort of process some of those big, heavy things as well. So I've written sketches about my personal reaction to George Floyd. I've written many, me and a writing partner of mine, Doug Nethercott, have been getting an ongoing bit of the Gay Hype Squad appearing in various sketches. And it's just, I believe in the power of fun and joy and how it goes hand in hand with the activism, with the big things that we are doing to make life better. So that's where I come at it with. And yeah, I think stand-up can be tricky because you have a mic. Ideally, people are listening. And sometimes people have different objectives and motives for what they want to accomplish on the mic. And I can say that mine is to have a really damn good time, and we can just learn and have fun and maybe have your eyes open a little bit.
Definitely. I want to hear about the 2 world premieres that you had at Brave New Workshop this year.
So funny enough, the world premieres I mentioned there, my friends are probably laughing because I stay busy. So I guess technically at the workshop, I did 3 world premieres as a writer and actor as a part of that team, because we did 3 unique shows and an improv show during the summer. As my work as a freelance director, however, I got to work with a wonderful theater company called Threshold Theater. They're local. They do queer stories and they have a focus on new works. And I got to work with local playwright and a very dear friend of mine, Matthew A. Everett, on his script Spellbound. So I directed that this past spring, and then this past spooky season of October, I got to be a part of the development process and direct a production called Camp Blood, and that was a horror musical during the Twin Cities Horror Festival that happens every year here in the Twin Cities at the Crane Theater.
I saw the Threshold show. I saw Spellbound, and it was great. It was. I know Matthew a little bit, and I know David Schlosser is a friend of mine. So I thoroughly enjoyed that production. It was top notch.
Thank you. Thank you. That was such a lovely production, and just working with that team. And I have long roots with the Threshold Theater team, and putting up something that felt really cool, interesting, new work, and just a piece of the conversation that we don't always talk about made it such a passion project for my past spring.
It's great.
We are talking with writer, director, actor, and Mr. Twin Cities Leather 2026, Denzel Beelan. We have to fit in a break here, but we're going to have more with Denzel when we come back. Before we take that break, check out our GLAAD Media Award nominated podcast, This Queer Book Saved My Life. On it, I interview LGBTQ guests from across the rainbow about the queer books that had a life-saving impact for them. Plus, we bring in the authors when they are available to join the conversation and talk to us about, like, what did it take to write this book and get it out into the world and its impact on them. So you can find This Queer Book Saved My Life everywhere you stream your podcast and at thisqueerbook.com. You can keep the conversation going about The Gaily Show on Blue Sky. We are at thegailyshow.org on Blue Sky, and you can DM me all your thoughts, and some of y'all are DMing me too much, but there it is. We're going to take that break. You're listening to The Gaily Show on AM 950 KTNF and WCPT 820. Stay tuned. See you on the flip side. Welcome back to The Gaily Show. I'm John Parker. We are coming up on the top of the hour. Jim Pounds, my executive producer, is in the studio with me here at AM 950 Radio. Our guest is writer, director, actor, and Mr. Twin Cities Leather 2026, Denzel Beelan. Denzel, you've got a holiday show happening at Brave New Workshop right now, Chaos of the Bells. Tell us about it.
Yes, so people know the Brave New Workshop, or if you're old enough, you just call it the Dudley Riggs. You know one thing for sure, and that is we do a bang-up holiday show, and we are right in the season of that one. And this one is called The Chaos of the Bells. Have yourself a merry little crisis, and it is a tour de force of comedy and just so much fun. Our cast is, Brave New Workshop legend, Lauren Anderson, myself, Doug Nethercott, Isabella Dunseith, and a newcomer to our stage, but a Twin Cities improv legend, Rita Boersma, is part of our cast, and that makes up our cast there. And it's a fun show, and we sort of tackle a whole bunch of different things, so I think there's going to be something that you're going to be like, that is so me, and there's going to be things that you're going to be like, I didn't know that was for me, but here I am doubled over in laughter. It gets a little sexy, it gets a little friendship, it gets a little crazy, and as a long-time tradition, we always end with our own personal spin on the 12 days of Christmas. That is sort of this massive sketch that we have been doing, even before I started in 2016 at the end of every holiday show. And it is a gangbuster punchline-a-thon. And it's definitely, if you haven't been to the Brave New Workshop for a holiday show, you definitely should be. We do shows throughout the entire year, but make sure you get there for the holiday season.
Oh yeah, okay. This sounds good. I'm gonna grab that ticket information here to share with folks. We got to see your speech at the National Coming Out Day luncheon in October of this year, and it was really special. I mean, thank you for sharing your story there. Do you want to share a little bit about it here, because it was very impactful in the room?
Absolutely. So I like to say that because I grew up in Seattle, Washington during the 90s and 2000s, my coming out was a bit different than the classic Midwestern coming out. For instance, my senior year musical in high school was Rent. Seattle was very progressive, and I was in, I feel like, a very progressive bubble in a progressive city. And to be very blunt with you all, I am most confident that people will always see me as Black first before queer. And I have always been living with my Black identity. So the idea of being marginalized for something was not a new concept to me. But something that I think we don't necessarily always talk about when coming out is like that step into being ourselves, right? Oftentimes coming out is that recognition of ourselves, but just being ourselves and being able to have those classic stories, if you will. So for National Coming Out Day, I talked about one of like my first romances, if you will, that was sort of a weird, epic, lovely, silly, teen, horny kind of chance meeting with this wonderful human, Michael Abraham, who I met doing mock trial because, I was a jock, and had maybe just like 4 or 5 interactions with over the span of like 12 years, but always held something close to me. And we ended up losing Michael a few years back, and just sort of sitting with that and being like, yeah, this wasn't necessarily like someone I was married to and had this long life to, but the chance of having those loves and losses and everything felt beautiful and just frankly normal, if you will. And that idea of coming out and having those experiences, and me feeling comfortable to do so because of a really amazing educator I had, Paul Fleming, out in the Seattle area, who like way back in the day, I said that, and if I said a year, I feel like people would crucify me. So just before my time, started a very early version of a gay straight alliance called Cake with Fleming, where on Fridays he would buy a small cake, and if you wanted to talk about anything, you could. And it was sort of that wonderful coded language of he lived his life as a very proud and out gay person, and me feeling comfortable to explore that within myself because I had so many positive role models, and especially a really direct one with my theater teacher as a theater kid. And just sort of wrapping all of that up and being like, I felt like I could embrace who I was and wanted to be because of these two very crucial people. And for me, that was coming out into myself and laying the foundation for where I wanted to be as the person I am now.
Thank you for sharing that. For tickets to Chaos of the Bells, head to hennepinarts.org. No, it gets me. I don't want to be seen as rude here, but it's such a lovely story. Thank you for sharing it. Again, hear parts of it with us today. You tell it very well, and it's a very poignant story. So yes, Chaos of the Bells, before I get into more of a fanboy here, hennepinarts.org. You can view all of Denzel's many projects at his website, which is denzelbelin.com, Belin. On Instagram, he is at @from_Washington. So like not the word underscore, like an actual like underscore. Denzel, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, everyone, and thank you for listening and viewing us today. If you're on YouTube, click that subscribe button and turn on the alerts for all of our new videos that come out daily. You can keep the gay going all weekend long. On Saturday afternoon is Pride on AM 950. You can catch up with the best of The Gaily Show at 2 p.m. Twin Cities Pride Amplified is at 3 p.m. The Legal Trans Woman as at 4 p.m. with Ellie Krug, who has a new book out. You should definitely check it out. And then we round out the afternoon with the Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony at 5 p.m. And then on Sunday, folks in Chicago on WCPT 820, it's Sunday Brunch with your gay best friends, Ellen Miller and Scott Duff on Out Chicago. So tune in all weekend long. And until this time on Monday, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.